Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is a very special Decksperiment. That's right, this is the floating head. Regis Kilbin, I guess I'm a decapitated head for Halloween. I don't know, just go with it. And in this Decksperiment, of course, like every other Decksperiment, I'm going to try to build a crazy, goofy, interesting, fun new deck live on the spot, and then test that deck out on the ranked ladder to see it in action. And as you probably guessed from the title of this video, from the goofy costume that I'm wearing, and from the fact that my head is floating in space like a spooky, decapitated Halloween head, this is in fact a Halloween-themed deck. That's right, I'm going to build a spooky, scary Hearthstone deck that still has some nice integrity as a deck and validity and perhaps a competitive edge as a deck as well. So, what does that mean, a Halloween deck? That means stuff like ghosts and skeletons and spooky monsters and all the fun stuff we love from Halloween. So I have to first off pick a class that actually includes spooky stuff, and after looking at these real quickly, there's just not that many classes that have spooky cards other than Warlock. So I think we have to take Warlock to get started. They do have some scary demons and stuff. Everybody else just has fairly standard things. I guess Rogue maybe has some Death Rattle minions here and there, but really Warlock is the clear favorite when it comes to a Halloween themed deck. So let's call this the, actually we'll just call this the Spooky Halloween Warlock. And now we'll start adding some cards. So, you know, I'm not going to be super strict as far as like this is a Halloween card versus this isn't, but let's take a pass first off and grab some certainly scary cards. So Possessed Villager, obviously scary. He's possessed, so we got some exorcism themed stuff happening there. Actually, I also think Mortal Coil's pretty spooky. That's obviously a skeleton head floating, so I think we're going to grab that. There's some demons here. This one's a little more sexy than scary. A little more sexy than scary again on the Darkshire Librarian. So not too spooky. Drain Life actually looks pretty spooky, but maybe we'll hold off on that for now. I don't know if that's going to fit our deck. So, you know, what I'm doing now is just picking out a few of the themed cards for this Decksperiment, and then once we've got kind of an idea of what pieces we have for sure, we can start to think about a deck shape later on and kind of refine that list and build a deck around it as well. So the Dreadsteed is pretty scary, not a stereotypical Halloween thing, but clearly a scary horse. We got some scary demons here. I actually think Doomguard is a passable Halloween-themed card because not only is he a demon himself that looks like kind of like a vampire almost, but if you'll note in his card art, it might be a little difficult to see here, but he's actually coming out of a dead body right there. So that's pretty darn spooky. So I also want to run Doomguard just because it's an awesome card, so that's going to work for me. Siphon Soul is really scary, right? Like this, I don't know what that is. Maybe just a dude in armor, but maybe some sort of spooky, like, death pumpkin-themed guy. Stealing a dude's soul in the dude's face is clearly terrified, so that makes the cut for me. Twisting Nether is kind of scary, I guess. Doom is kind of scary, but not probably Halloween-y, so we'll pass on that. Let's go ahead and jump into the neutral cards. I think we're going to find a lot of scary neutral cards. A Wisp is sort of a ghost, but it's like a nice ghost, and we don't want a Casper deck. We want a really legitimately scary deck. Nothing too scary here. Murlocs are terrifying if you've ever actually played World of Warcraft, but not this particular one. It's got a nice monocle. Voodoo Doctor looks scary, but he's just a troll with a mask. Nothing too bad. Young Priestess kind of looks like a ghost, but I don't think so. I think she's just a night elf, so no luck there. Blood Mage Thanos, definite scary card. He's literally got a skeleton head, so easy selection there. Crazed Alchemist looks pretty spooky. Let's toss him in. Doomsayer, I think it's just like a dude, more of a cultist than a traditionally scary guy, so we'll pass that up. Nothing too frightening here. We got a cute chubby panda that definitely does not make the cut. Still nothing spooky. Got a werewolf, sort of, so Worgens are, I guess, always an option since they're sort of werewolfy, but let's hold off. I think we can find scarier, right? Like there's got to be better stuff out there. Man, I was expecting more spooky, scary skeletons, but so far there's virtually zero. It's another good werewolf. We may have to come back to the werewolves. Am I missing anything, guys? I'm going a little faster because I'm just not feeling fulfilled. I didn't think this out. I didn't plan ahead. You never really... That's the whole point of a Decksperiment, is to do it on the fly and figure it out as you go. So I thought we'd see way more scary cards than this. I mean, obviously stuff like this is pretty scary, but not in a traditional sense. So I don't think we can take that just yet. We're not going to give up hope. Let's keep looking. Polluted Hoarder, pretty scary too. Kind of a Frankenstein scare. Okay, Abominations are definitely scary, like undead, horror movie type scares. So we'll grab him. Captain Greenskin looks terrifying, but not really. Nothing here. Kvaldirs are kind of like ghosts in Warcraft, but don't really look that scary here. Oh, we got a witch. Witches count. Witches are Halloween themed. Scary witches, yeah, that's a good one. Let's see, what else do we have? And by the way, I know there are probably some of you who are already thinking, like, this is dumb. What's the point of this? What am I going to learn from this? This guy's not building an actual competitive deck. This is a silly exercise. And I understand that, but let me tell you this. Let me issue a sort of a counterpoint to that, in that part of the point of these experiments is to see what kind of cards you have and analyze those cards as a set. So I'm going to end up with, 25, 30 cards here after I get done picking these spooky cards. And then I'll be able to start analyzing that set of cards and identifying synergies and seeing how they work well together, seeing some spells that may or may not complement them, identifying a sort of archetype for the deck and some goals it might have. And then also, once that deck completion part of this is complete, I'm also going to have to take this monstrosity out onto the ranked ladder, and at that point, you start to learn to play with cards that you've never played with. So not just building decks, but start to think about how cards actually interact with one another in a new setting and how they might work in the meta that might surprise you. So it's a good way to still sort of refresh how you think about the game and challenge yourself and stretch your skills and stretch your expectations a little bit. So yeah, this is goofy, but I still think it's a healthy exercise that can still help you grow and develop as a player, so stick with it. Here we got 3 straight skeletons. This is like the skeleton crew right here. I mean, Sylvana's obviously not a skeleton, but she is undead, so I'll take her. She works for me. Chillmaw is like a scary dead dragon. So we're going to grab him, and it looks like we have some Death Rattle synergies, by the way. So I'm seeing a N'Zoth deck taking shape. As you might not be surprised, right? Death Rattles are spooky in nature, right? They're zombies, so I can clearly see we're going to have some good Death Rattle synergies for N'Zoth. Particularly just Chillmaw, Sylvanas, Abomination. Those right there work on their own. But then you've got like Villager and Thalnos too, so we're going to have a lot of minions popping out when we play N'Zoth. Fossilized Devilsaur is pretty scary, but he's really bad, so I don't think I'm going to run him, even if he fits the theme. Oopsie daisy. So we'll pass on him. This guy's a mummy, so he's going to take it. He's in the deck for sure. Mummies are scary. Tentacle-faced dudes are scary, but not in this particular setting. Deathwing is probably not a traditional spooky card. And, N'Zoth the Corruptor, maybe not a traditional Halloween card, or, themed card, but definitely like a Lovecraftian type horror, which is very much a classical horror type. So I don't mind stretching a little bit here for N'Zoth. I think he actually fits the theme of the Halloween deck pretty well. So I went through and I just grabbed all the Halloween cards, right? All the spooky, scary stuff, and we ended up at 21 cards. So that means we're going to have to fill in the gaps a little bit. I'm going through to see if we missed anything else that's just particularly spooky that had to be included. I don't think I did. By the way, another way to do this is with Wild format. I'm sure there are even more spooky cards in Wild, but we're going to stick to Standard this time around just to challenge ourselves a little more. So now that we've kind of gotten this little core set of spooky stuff, I think it's the healthiest exercise at this point is to look at our curve and what kind of cards we have and see if we can't, identify what kind of deck this is or what its goal might be or what we're trying to accomplish. So obviously the thing that sticks out most is the fact that we have a lot of late game cards and very, 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 very little early to mid game cards. In fact, 0, 3s, and 4s. So that's a pretty big risk right there that we could fall behind really fast and never quite catch up, particularly in an aggressive meta with some really strong turn 3s and 4s. So Abomination is nice in that regard because this is sort of a catch-up card, right? Like your opponent plays a bunch of little stuff, you play Abomination, and suddenly they have to get through the taunt and also risk their board. And Chill Maul actually accomplishes the exact same task in many ways if we have dragons, but we don't have any dragons in our deck. So Chill Maul's activation right now is not particularly strong. And in fact, it's really just a taunt, a 6/6 body that comes back with N'Zoth. And that might seem weak, but I actually don't think it's that bad just because it's another taunt. And N'Zoth's biggest risk, in my experience, is sometimes you can play him and you'll just have a big board of stuff and your opponent says, I don't care. I've got a huge wall of minions and I've got some damage in hand and I'm just going to kill you anyway. So you eat the horde of tunnel trogs and the lightning bolts to the face regardless, and N'Zoth didn't matter. So having those taunts, so like Abomination is a death rattle taunt, Chill Maul is a death rattle taunt, that can help make your N'Zoth turn stick. So your opponent can't ignore it and they actually have to push through all those taunts. Now that said, Abomination has some sort of counter synergy with N'Zoth that you usually get a lot of minions back, right? You get your Blood Mage Thanos, you get your Possessed Villagers, and then Abomination instantly kills them off. Now that could be a problem, but they're death rattles that have positive death rattle effects, so usually it's not even that bad necessarily if he kills them off. So a couple things working out pretty nicely there. The things I don't like about this list right now, of course, are the gaps at the 3 and the 4 spot, but also I don't think Doomguard fits. When I picked it, I thought it might. We might have like a Zoo-style deck. This could be a finisher. But instead, our curve went really late, and clearly we're more of a control-style deck. So I'm going to drop these Doomguards because I just don't want to discard so many high-quality cards, right? That's a really, really big risk. Plus, we had some stuff at the 5 spot. I'm also thinking Menagerie Magician, despite being a witch, probably isn't going to be good enough, right? Because we only have right now 1 dragon, I guess, and no beasts and no Murlocs. So that's not the card I meant to click. I meant to click Menagerie Magician, and I think we have to cut her as well. So this actually feels like a somewhat coherent list. Crazed Alchemist is a little random. I guess he doesn't really seem to fit anything. Skeleton Knight could be cool with Crazed Alchemist. Could kill some totems with it. But that's really about it. I mean, it's not going to do a ton of work. So I think I'll cut it too, because we still have some spooky demons that we could add into this list, and it could make a lot of sense. So, for instance, we need 3s and 4s, so let's start there, right? I don't think Darkshire Councilman is spooky enough to make the cut, but I do think Imp Gang Boss, since he is a little impish dude, is spooky enough to make the cost. And of course, a very, very high quality 3-drop, so helps to fill in that gap a little bit. I also think we're going to run Shadow Bolt. This guy has got like a skeleton face. He's undead. You can see a bone right here. Halloween card as far as I'm concerned. So another nice removal spell for the early game to help us keep up. It also has some synergies with Blood Mage Thanos as well. So Blood Mage is going to empower that Shadow Bolt and Mortal Coil pretty nicely. So he's not just card draw and a death rattle. He actually has some other things to do as well. Now, in regards to the 4 mana spot, is there anything here we want to work with? I mean, Hellfire is actually pretty good because we need AoE removal. Pit Lord we don't care about, just an under good, not a good card, right? An under I can't really think of what I'm trying to say. Not understated, but just undervalued card. It's not strong enough. Summoning Portal, I mean, it's kind of spooky, right? Like, that's like a weird demon portal, but not good here. Shadow Flame is good, Hellfire is good, and I think both of them clearly from the artwork are terrifying enough to make the cut. Shadow Flame is really nice with stuff like Sylvanas, so I think, and even Abomination too, because it can be sort of a 6 damage AoE instead of a 4 damage AoE. So I think we will grab both these Shadow Flames, and I think I might grab even one Hellfire. So that will up our removal options a little bit. So clearly this is turning into really not that far off from like a N'Zoth sort of hand block, right? I mean, not hand lock in a stereotypical sense of card draw, but a control style Warlock that relies on a big N'Zoth turn in order to win the game. So that's pretty cool. We could also add something like a Dreadsteed, but we don't really have any Dreadsteed synergies that we care about. It is a Death Rattle, so it would come back with N'Zoth, but there is some risk to running too many Death Rattles in your N'Zoth deck, just because if I get 5 or 6 Dreadsteeds that die, I could play N'Zoth and he'd summon 6 Dreadsteeds instead of summoning my Sylvanas and my Chillmaw and my Abominations and all the stuff I want. So we got to be careful there. Let's move on to neutral 4-drops. See if there are any spooky enough that we like that also make sense for our deck. So like Cult Master, for instance, is pretty spooky. She's a part of a cult. She's scary looking. I don't know what her deal is, but I don't think she fits just because Warlock has card draw regardless. We don't have a ton of minions we're trying to siphon off, so just not a fit for our deck, right? I mean, she's a good card, but just doesn't work for us. What we would really need is probably a minion. We have some removal already at the 4 and the 3, so we really need stuff to play. Typically in these control style Warlock decks, you have a pretty strong turn 4, and get a medium-sized threat out there. It's usually the Twilight Drakes or the Mountain Giants. So something like that wouldn't be too bad at all. That said, I don't know that any of these are particularly spooky enough to put them in the deck in good faith. So, you know, we can't really run Twilight Drake. That doesn't look that scary. It's a dragon, but not... Although Tomb Spider, actually... Spiders are pretty scary and a Halloween-themed card. So maybe we can do a Tomb Spider, and it's less of a threatening body and more of just sort of a card generation. Now, the question is, now that we have a beast and a dragon... Does that ever make the Menagerie Magician worth it? Let's take another look at that card. See, so this is one of the ways, you know, you add a piece here, you take a piece away there, and suddenly other cards start to make sense and fill in the gaps, and suddenly you've built yourself a nice little deck with some internal synergies. So again, I hope this is still seeming like a valuable experience to you as we move through this. So she's going to give a random friendly beast, dragon, and Murloc +2/+2. So obviously, the dream there is you have all 3 on board and you get a 6/6 additional stat boost. But most likely, she's just going to be a +2/+2. And we only have 3 cards right now that it hits on. So it's still really, really inconsistent. I don't think we have enough to work with here to make her really good. Hey, Nexus Champion Sarad is a mummy. We can run him as a good 5-drop. That's a ton of value generation. I like that. Yeah, he's a mummy. I mean, he's really called an ethereal, I guess. But, you know, mummy, ethereal, same difference. So on that note, I still really want a 4-drop, and I want perhaps some 5-drops just to fill in the gap. Some dragons wouldn't be bad, like Azure Drake would be a perfect fit, or some sort of dragon, right, to activate Chillmaw. We might have to move to a late-game dragon, find the scariest late-game dragon. But otherwise, I really do want another 4-drop minion. Agent Shade looks pretty scary. So surprisingly buff for like a ghost, but he's just such a troublesome card, particularly when, as a class, you know, we're going to be drawing a lot of cards and we're going to be injuring our own health pool a lot. So this combo, this makes it very likely we're going to draw that Ancient Curse, and we're going to be low health, so it makes the 7 damage even more punishing. Plus 4 health is just so easy to remove for a 4-drop. That's what makes him bad generally, but he's even worse in our specific deck. So Cyclopean Horror is kind of intriguing. That haircut is actually the scariest part about this card, not the fact that it's a monster Cyclops. It has like a parted hair, a parted long blue haircut. So it makes sense though. It's a 4-drop body. It's another taunt. If a minion gets, or if an opponent gets a really, really fast start, this could just help us get another nice little guy out. I kind of like the idea of running at least one of these, and maybe even 2. So let's see how that looks in the deck. Okay, Any other 4-drops? I guess Infested Tauren is another card that fits pretty well just because it's a Death Rattle, it's a taunt, it's defensive in nature, and it is a scary infected tentacled cow, which is, as far as I'm concerned, prototypical Halloween fare. If you don't see at least 3 Infested Tauren costumes at your Halloween party, you're going to the wrong kinds of parties. That's all I know for sure. So, that leaves me with one last card, and I think we decided we want a late game dragon to help activate our Chill Maw and just give us another threat. Now, looking at the curve, we actually just ended up super heavy on 4-drops. How did that happen? We went from 0 4-drops to 9. Alright, so maybe I need to drop something here. I guess since we got the Tauren and the Horror, we can drop the Spiders. We don't care about the Beast Synergy. We could have had Blood of the Ancient one. That's pretty spooky. But instead, I think we do just want a dragon. Which is the scariest of the dragons? Nefarian's pretty scary. Nozdormu's pretty scary. I guess Deathwing is clearly the scariest of all dragons. Even Deathwing Dragon Lord is pretty chill as far as scary stuff is concerned. Unfortunately, that puts 3 really, really slow cards in my deck, which is a risk. But he is a Death Rattle minion. He could pull Chill Maw out, so if we actually got one more dragon to go with Deathwing, I think it'd fit really, really nicely. You know, Yogg-Saron, not in this particular deck, but a little spooky, I think. So are there any lower cost dragons that are still really scary? Let's search for dragons here. Dragon Egg, not so much. Fairy dragons are cute. These don't look that scary to me. I guess the Midnight Drake looks the scariest because he's kind of like tentacles and stuff. Skill Nightmares, pretty scary. A dragon that can talk and wear glasses and read books is also relatively terrifying. I think Nefarian is the answer. He's a little faster. Seems scary still. Doesn't really synergize with Deathwing Dragonlord all that well, other than just summoning a free 8/8 body, which I think is actually fine. So Deathwing, and then I think I'm going to add 1 2-drop maybe. Is there anything scary at the 2? Where did we land on the 2-drops? Succubus we decided was not scary. We got a spooky Murloc. Is this guy... No, he's not a skeleton. I thought he might be. Oh well. What I'd really like to add is a Doomsayer. It fits our deck really nicely because it's defensively minded. It's kind of a board clear early. If we don't get a good early game hand, it could give us exactly what we need. So I think I'm going to do that. It's scary enough, right? He's like a cultist. That's a scary Halloween thing. So, that said, looking at the list, I'm actually pretty happy with where we landed. It's okay that the 2-drop's a little low because you like to life tap on 2 anyway in control-style Warlock decks. We have some defensively minded taunts in the mid-game to help us get to the late game where we're going to have all those Death Rattles, really strong cards, and an eventual Zot the Corruptor as our win condition, along with just potentially overwhelming opponents with value, which Warlock is awfully good at. So, altogether, I'm kind of interested to see how the spooky Halloween Warlock actually fares. So take a look at this list, get a screenshot, whatever you need to do, and let's take it out on the ranked ladder and actually see this bad boy in action. So, happy Halloween. It's a little early probably when this video is posted, but there's no reason you can't have fun playing Hearthstone these days, guys. I know a lot of people complain about the ladder, a lot of people complain about the meta. It's all shaman, it's all this and stale, and I get it, I understand it. It's all valid, legitimate complaints, but ultimately this is still a fun game at its core. The reason stuff seems stale to most people is because they're doing the same kind of stuff. It's not all about ranks. I mean, yeah, it's great to hit legend once, get the card back, feel the satisfaction, but sometimes it's just about having fun and playing the game and doing cool stuff and surprising yourself with crazy decks. And that's, of course, the goal of Decksperiment. So hopefully you're at least living vicariously through me, but I would encourage you to try the very same. Unfortunately, we got the least spooky of all the game boards. This is like the happy disco game board. Disco's scary, admittedly, but there's so many like tentacly scary game boards, and this is not one. Okay, so that's a minion. This is a Thief Rogue. I could Mortal Coil it, but I don't really see an advantage. If I do that, I'm going to float a mana. So I'd much rather just life tap here and fully utilize my mana. I can Imp King Boss, which lines up really well against the Swashbuckler anyway. So there's really no advantage to dealing with it. Plus, as you can see now, this is a better Mortal Coil target, so I can now still life tap and Mortal Coil and not be in a bad spot. Could also still play the Imp King Boss. It's susceptible to stuff like Eviscerate, Shadow Strike maybe. But even then, a minion that comes out is still going to threaten one of these guys. So he could sap it, but that means he's used a really valuable sap on a cheap minion instead of like a big taunt, and I like that. That would actually be a good thing for me to see. So instead he's going to weapon up here and clear and leave this alive. Or actually he may trade both, I guess, but oh, Fan of Knives too. That's fine. But again, he's just got a 1/1. Like, we're not that worried about that. The one thing we don't have in this deck right now is actually life gain. We have a lot of taunts, but not a lot of life gain. So life tapping is good to get cards, but once we get like a helping of stuff, I think we need to be a little careful about tapping and focus more on like winning the game instead. Okay, so there's the Abyss. That's not too bad. We can actually Cyclopean Horror this and Mortal Coil. Yeah, that's fine. This is not obviously going to be the highest value Cyclopean Horror in history, but it's something. It's a little overcosted, right? We got basically a monkey taunt, but at 4 mana instead of 3. So 3/5 is where this levels out to like Syndion Shieldmaster, and that's really where you want it to be. Shadow Bolt's a good answer there. What's this going to be? Anything gross? Malygos. So we know it's a Mally Rogue. We understand that with some Thief principled stuff. A backstab here would be brutal. Eviscerate 2. Prep Shiv as well. Okay, so he's definitely going to get to use this Mally. And now I think I have to Shadow Bolt the Mally. That was actually a really big coin prep. Like, this is annoying. We could Siphon Soul it. It's really annoying. He's already used Eviscerate Shiv. I can't leave this alive, right? It has to die, absolutely. The question is, do I Siphon Soul or do I just Shadow Bolt tap? I can't Shadow Bolt Infested Tauren. I probably wouldn't anyway because the Barnes lines up so nicely against the Tauren. Mistakes were made. What did he do? I actually wasn't thinking about his line of play here. Maybe he messed something up. So I think I'll just tap Shadow Bolt. Both Mortal Coils are gone, so I don't have a better option, I don't think. And we actually do have a little bit of life game in the deck, I remember, is Siphon Soul, so not much, but we can heal 6 at some point, which is not bad. And so we just need the other Malygos to be at the bottom of his deck, because, you know, we're all taunts, right? And taunts, believe it or not, aren't good against Malygos. So our lack of proactive stuff could really hurt us, or at least reactive heals even. So we actually do have an activation for the Chill Maw. The problem, of course, is that these have 4 health, so it's not great, and I think it's going to get sapped. So I really think my line of play is Siphon Soul the Drake and play the Possessed Villager. I could Sylvanas and the Villager, and it might stick, but the risk there, of course, is that I'm dead. He has 8 damage on board, 9 with the weapon. So he only needs 12 damage. I guess the Azure Drake's not going to do it. I suppose this is actually the smarter line of play, but it's a little risky. If we hadn't seen one Eviscerate, I'd be really nervous, but we have seen one Evis. A couple Sinister Strikes could do it. Like, double Sinister Strike Evis would kill us, I guess, probably. But most likely this stuff gets to stick. We'll see. He may feel compelled to make some trades here. I don't know. If he doesn't, I can trade the Sylvanas, play the Chill Maw, and set up the Sylvanas to die to the Chill Maw pretty nicely, so he's got the sap. Yeah, so the Chill Maw would have been wiped pretty hard. Sap is really good against most of our deck, honestly. So that's tough. Conceal. Well, that's annoying. Because that I was going to trade into the Drake and play the Chill Maw to set up the Drake Death to the Chill Maw at 3 health, right? And it probably wouldn't matter because it would just change how he traded. But instead, I'm just kind of stuck for plays. I still have to play the Chill Maw, I guess. Siphon Soul, my own minion, puts me to 16. He has 7, 8, 10, 11 on board, so I'm dead to 5 damage. He very likely has that. Infested Tauren slows him down a little, but then I can't do anything else with my turn. So it's only a 3 health taunt, so like Barnes gets through it immediately. This is very risky to sap, but life tap Infested Tauren is even riskier. So I think this is the best line of play. Even though I don't think it's good. I think we're about to lose the game. We know he has at least 5 damage that can get through just trading the board. So he'd trade this, this, and this, have this alive in his weapon, attack for 5, and he only needs 8 damage, which with a spell damaged Azure Drake is going to be very easy for a Malygos Rogue to pull off. It's just, 2 Sinister Strikes, a Vis Sinister Strike. There's a lot, even Shiv eviscerates close, could put us to 1, which would put us in a very sour spot. So, I mean, hopefully the little minions die if he doesn't trade those in. It looks like he's gonna evis that. Demon Wrath, that's gonna wipe the board. Well, that's not bad at all. I'll take that any day of the week. The problem, of course, is that Malygos is still terminal for us. Like, we cannot beat a Malygos right now. And I don't think we can afford to take any other damage either. So I kind of have to just Siphon Soul this and sit. The good news is I think he's running out of minions a little bit. He's probably not... That's a minion, though. Jeez Louise. The good news here is I can both Siphon Soul and Infested Tauren, right? So I'm not going to float as much mana. I'll go up to 18, which, again, Malygos still whips through 18 health pretty quickly, so we still have to hope he's near the bottom. He hasn't drawn a lot of cards, thankfully, so that has given us more time than we might otherwise suspect. Oh, I guess we could try the N'Zoth. What are we going to have if we summon N'Zoth right now? We're going to have the Chill Maw and not much else. Not much else. Chill Maw actually does still theoretically clear the board, or at least deal with the board pretty efficiently. Do we have any other death rattles? We have a possessed villager. That actually matters, because it might set up some trades or help us clean up minions. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? This is clearly not the biggest Chill Maw, but I actually think it's a pretty good play. Yeah, it's just the 2. Or not Chill Maw, N'Zoth, I mean. This is not the best N'Zoth ever. Obviously, you want to hit stuff like the Sylvanas and the Tauren, but it buys me a turn in a way that I don't really know that Siphon Soul Infested Tauren did. This is a little bit more active and put some damage out. So that's going to take... This is going to die, and that's going to take 3. He knows this is going to activate, so I don't know if he's planning to trade or go face or... That Eviscerate being gone is a big deal. It's actually a really big deal. He needs a Conceal here. Oh, SI actually helps. But we can Hellfire the board. The problem, of course, is I go down to 7 when I do that. So it's not a dream come true, but I think it has to happen, right? Is there a different, better way? We can Siphon Soul, but that leaves 7 damage on board that I can't deal with. And the taunt probably just dies for free. 4 gets through. So, yeah, this, even though it hurts me, is actually one of the better life-saving plays that I have. The taunt will deny weapon damage, which could make a difference, so you can't like double Sinister Strike weapon unless he has a sap. So Malygos is still game-ending, but now we're kind of in a race to kill him before he kills us. Oh, he's just got it, though. He drew Mali's Sinister Strike. Mali Shiv, maybe? No, Mali Sinister Strike. Yeah, so the Mali had to be at the bottom. We couldn't apply enough counter pressure. Not bad, though. Not bad. I actually am pretty happy with that game as far as how the deck performed. Like, we had answers when we needed them. We got a demon quest, guys. It's perfect for our Halloween Warlock. Even though there aren't that many demons, it's doing work. We played 2 demons. So we'll give it another go or 2. I'd really like to see this deck get a win, even though it's a sort of a troll or goofy deck. And I'm a floating head right now. I keep forgetting that. Floating head. Even though that... No! No, look at our opponent's name! It's Ghost! That's too perfect! Oh, we're playing a Ghost on our Halloween deck. Oh, you can't write stuff like this, guys. It works out so well. Alright, so as far as the mulligan's concerned, obviously I want some more early game cards.
Hello.
Could be Freeze Mage, which probably problematic for us. Could be more Tempo Mage, which we can probably do better against, but still probably problematic for us. So I don't feel good about this game either way. That signals to me Freeze Mage, but doesn't necessarily mean anything. Shadow Flame is not a card we want on Freeze Mage, that's for sure. We'll tap. If it's Freeze Mage, we're going to have to find a way to win anyway. We can't just pretend our health is valuable, because Alex Straza will always take us below 15 anyway, or 215. So any damage we take up to 15 is probably not going to be super relevant. Skeleton Knight he can deal with very easily. Chill Maw is going to be a little harder. Oh, cool. Not what I expected to see. What a good Barnes! Barnes is not a destructive card at all, guys. He's super fair and balanced. What are you talking about? Free Emperor Thorson proc on 6 cards. So thankfully we did have the Shadow Bolt to deal with the Barnes. But that's our second straight Barnes that has ruined us. Man. Okay, we can deal with that. I'm happy to know that he's running Barnes. I mean, is this still Freeze Mage? I honestly haven't seen that many Freeze Mage lists lately. Is he still just Barnesing for the proc? Like, that's the only 2 minions he's running? Seems risky to go in that direction to me. So he just Frostbolted. Do we actually want to coin out the Skeleton Knight here and see if we can't make it stick? He might have to Fireball, and he can't Flame Strike yet, so this is the right time to play it, I think. Look how spooky our deck is. Got a spooky skeleton with some spookier skeletons behind him. Got a little imp. So this looks less and less like Freeze Mage to me, but again, it feels like it could be a weird list. Who knows? Acolyte of Pain. So he knows a lot about our deck right now from that. Not that he didn't already, but I think we'll have to Shadow Bolt this. Sad thing is I don't really get to play another card with it. I could just Abomination. It's going to kill this anyway. It gives him some spell power, but I do want to get some N'Zoth triggers out there as well. Just makes this annoying to deal with. He'll probably just trade ping, which is fine. The goal is just to slow him down a little. I have a Chill Maw, but I don't have an activator for my Chill Maw, so... Firelance Portal Face, but you didn't trade first. That was a weird play, guys. I don't like that play. I'm just going to be able to clear his board now. Guys, I don't think I would recommend that play if I were you. I mean, I guess he's just looking to get damage in. It makes a little sense there, but it's just so risky to expose your board to that. Maybe he didn't have any other plays. He didn't want to ping trade because it's like he just plays out his hand if he does that. So Shadow Bolt's good. He may not have an answer to this Knight, which is pretty chill. Oh my word! Lay off, dude! I may have to Siphon Soul here. If I Shadow Bolt, what else can I do? Just play the Cyclopean Horror. But that leaves him at 13. He's used a Fireball, though, and a Firelance Portal. I don't think he can do 13 in a turn or two. So maybe I try to pressure a little here. Maybe we Shadow Bolt Cyclopean Horror, or vice versa as far as the order is concerned. Man, Nefarian could give me an Ice Block, but it's going to take a while for that to unfold, so may not work out very well. So we're going to do 10 damage next turn and put him to 9. Depending on how this rolls out, we might just be able to kill him. I doubt it. I really doubt it, but it's certainly a possibility. I don't think we're dead this turn. Siphon Soul might be able to buy me enough time to win the game. Oh my gosh, really? Just kill yourself instantly, Yogg. That's all we need. Just instantly kill yourself. Oh my word. So much good stuff. Really? that all the spells he had? Wow. So I have a real dilemma here, guys. I guess it's actually not. What I want to do is attack face and Shadow Flame to clear the board. And play like Infested Torrent or whatever. If I do and it's a Noble Sacrifice, this will die. And I won't get a Shadow Flame. Which means I have to play Chill Maw, which sort of works, but there's a risk that he has a kill for Chill Maw and Naxxaron gets to run face. So, long story short, I think Abusive Sergeant's just really bad for me right here. Thankfully, it wasn't that or Eye for an Eye, so I will get to do this play. Hopefully, we'll learn a little more about this deck from this Joust. Let me just Thalnos. That's fine. I actually probably should have waited to make sure I didn't get a 4-drop there. Or it actually doesn't draw me a card. Never mind. I was thinking it drew a card, but I get Skeleton Knight back, so that's fine. So again, we're not in the worst spot. We don't know what secret that is. Maybe Competitive Spirit. Could be the... I can't even think of the name of it, but when I play 4 minions, it dies card. I'm at 11, but I think... Oh my word, it's Reno Mage. Yeah, that makes sense. That adds up. Summoning Stone. What? What? So what do I do? That Summoning Stone has to die, right? It just has to. Yeah, I don't think that can live. I think I have to Siphon Soul it, as much as that really sucks. Problem, of course, is I can't really do much else in my turn. Can I kill it without Siphon Soul? Attack, Shadow Flame is 4. Mortal Coil doesn't do it. Chill Maw theoretically kills it, right? But a turn later, so I don't want that, because by that time, it'll get to have done its damage. He's down to 4 cards. So if I do stabilize here with like Siphon Soul, there's a chance I can re-enter this game. The problem is I just don't get to play anything else if I Siphon Soul. I can life tap, but I go to 9. It's like, what does he have? It's Reno, so he's already used a... He doesn't have a Roaring Torch. Let's try this. Thalnos actually probably helps, but I don't have time to do the math on the mana cost. So I'm just going to play this out. There might have been a play where I Shadow Flamed and Mortal Coiled. Like trade in, Shadow Flame, Mortal Coil. But I don't think I had the mana for that, right? If I played Thalnos, I think we were out of mana after the tap, so I don't think that would have done the trick. Hellfire Mortal Coil will kill this, but again, I'll take a lot of damage. Ronin. Okay, how do we get out of this? It's just a constant trying to figure out how to get out of stuff. So Hellfire Mortal Coil. I'll trade in here first. This goes to 5. The Hellfire take it down to 2. I don't actually have a way to kill Ronin. If I do that, I could attack Shadow Flame, but that doesn't do any extra damage to Ronin other than a single Mortal Coil, so that doesn't do the trick. We can Chill Maw and hope this stuff dies over time. That's actually sort of valid because I don't want the... I can't Hellfire and Chill Maw though, and I can't Mortal Coil and Chill Maw and kill this either. I can Skeleton Knight Shadow Flame, I guess, but that gives him 9 damage off of... This gives him 9 damage off of missiles from Ronin, so it almost certainly kills me. Almost certainly kills me. Because I have 14 health, so... oh, word. That's coming some point soon. You'll note, guys, our problem right now, and not a surprising one to have, is that I just don't have time to play these late-game cards. I'm constantly right at the edge of my seat as far as health is concerned, so I kind of have to... I mean, you're not even getting the floating head action. I gotta lean back more, don't I? Anyway, you're not even really getting the opportunity to play these bad boys. Yeah, so that clear in the spell power is for sure lethal. I don't know what secret that was. We never got to see. Chill Maw might have been a better play, but I mean, Ronin would have still died, and he would have had Reno up too. I guess I could have Chill Maw and then Mortal Coiled the Reno proactively so that it died to Chill Maw. But he would have found ways to trade to attack with more damage. So I think the only route that was viable is the one we took. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Pretty cool deck to see, though. That's right, ghosts, or I mean, excuse me, decapitated heads can drink Mountain Dew. Diet Mountain Dew specifically. That's right. So we'll try one more game. We got Ghost last time. Hopefully this isn't like Vampire or Mummy or Zombie or some other cool name. Palmarius, the classic Halloween villain. That's pretty cool. Just kidding. Okay, so we'll keep the Mortal Coil, but not much else. All right, this is a pretty good hand, honestly. We have coins, so we can actually coin if we need to, just depending on what we see from him. We still probably want to life tap if we can. Would have loved a Mortal Coil, a Babbling Book or something, but this will work out. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get the Imp King boss out here just to start whacking away at this thing. Otherwise, it could get out of hand. Hellfire could clean up eventually, as can Mortal Coil, since this is 2 attack, 1 attack, and a 3 health minion. So might steal my Imp King boss, but we can still life tap in Mortal Coil next turn and feel pretty good about our mana expenditure. He doesn't have the coin, so how's he going to deal with this? Trade this way? It's actually pretty good against Mortal Coil and stuff. This is going to get to live another turn. But it does mean I get to play the other Imp King boss, so it seemed like he had some annoying issues with it last time, and it looks like these things are going to get to stick. The problem, of course, is we're going to have a lot of little minions out, which doesn't synergize particularly well with Hellfire and Abomination. So hopefully we're able to kind of work this out in a way that we don't need to cast these anytime soon. We can maybe tap Blood Mage just to get some card cycle through. Or actually, Blood Mage Mortal Coil is going to work really nicely against the Mana Worm if that's the route we take. He may trade here for efficiency, though. He just polymorphed an Imp Gang boss against us. He probably thinks we're Zoo, because that's all he's seen is really early game stuff. But that's fine by me. Yeah, let's open with the Mortal Coil, see what we get. I'll either tap or Blood Mage. I don't know yet. I think we'll tap. Saving the Blood Mage for an actual spell damage could be really useful. We have the Abomination next turn as well as an option. See how it goes. Infested Tauren. Both are pretty decent. He's going to ping that off, it looks like, which is just... Oh, excuse me, really inefficient mana usage, I feel like. What's that secret, though, guys? Anybody know? You think it's Mirror Entity? Probably not. Counterspell, Ice Block feel a little more likely. But who knows? It's, who knows? I think I'm just going to play the Villager and the Tauren, so we'll open with the Villager just in case. Does not look like that. Let's, surely he didn't vaporize. It's Ice Barrier. Okay, cool. So this looks like probably another Reno Mage to me. And the Tauren fits fine. This is out of Flame Strike mana so far. So I don't know that he has a great turn here, as far as we can see. And we start to have some good ones, right? We have Sylvanas, Skeleton Knight. We have some cool stuff coming up. Plus, we're setting up pretty nicely for N'Zoth. We've already have 2 Death Rattle minions out. We're going to have some other big ones coming soon. That's a pretty average Faceless, so I don't mind that too much. But the problem is I don't really have a good way to deal with it either, do I? Blood Mage Mortal Coil for 3 mana, but that doesn't leave me a lot. Can also just maybe kill the Earthen Ring and play Sylvanas. But that's not good either, because then there's no taunt, and he just gets to trade into a free Sylvanas. So maybe we'll just play Sylvanas as is. If he Flame Strikes us, then he'll have to kill Sylvanas at 1 health, and we'll get to steal a minion. So I think we're just going to kind of go this route. We could have gone the Skeleton Knight route, but it's a little more susceptible to Flame Strike, obviously. So we could kind of just Flame Strike and make a really efficient trade, and maybe leave a 1/1 up. Second Polymorph, okay. That's both of those down, so we're going to get something to stick here before too long. And our board is actually still not bad. He's going to have a nice ping somewhere on the Imp or the Sheep. But we have stuff we can do. Can Mortal Coil that. We can maybe Blood Mage Mortal Coil this if there's enough damage taken or enough left on the board here. Frost Nova. Okay, that was unexpected, I'll be honest. Huh, is it worth the Hellfire here? We're going to kill 3 of our own minions. We're going to kill all of his. And we'll get 1 back, right? Could maybe even play Blood Mage as well. I kind of think it's worth it, guys. Could also just Mortal Coil this, see what we get, and play like a 6-drop. Or an Abomination. Doesn't threaten this necessarily, though. I'm just going to go for it. I don't see another time this is going to be relevant. He's clearly got more late-game oriented cards. We've already killed a Mana Worm. Like, let's do it. Why not? And I should have tapped first, obviously, but I'm going to tap now. Rewarded for my bad play by getting a playable card. Wouldn't have changed the line of play, thankfully. I guess not much would have at 1 mana, since we already have Mortal Coils. There's only 2 1-drops in the entire deck, so pretty irrelevant. But always tap first if you can. So yeah, I'm actually happy with how that worked out. Man, he's having a big draw turn. Buys me time, though, and time is really the one weakness in this deck right now, is that I just don't have enough of it. We'll go ahead and just get the body out here. It's not going to activate, which is actually convenient because we have the board at this point, so we don't really need it to. This is just a 6/6 right now and a Nasoth body, and he's double polymorph, so he has to use Fireball on this or something, which means our health total grows. Every Fireball Frostbolt he uses on minions is more health for me, so I wouldn't mind that too much. My next turn, though, is starting to look a little shaky. I mean, Skeleton Knight's a card we can play, but it's just so susceptible to so many things that Mage can do that I don't love the idea of it. And by the way, I actually think this is a pretty subpar card in general, but I think it's a card that fit our deck just too well to pass up, both from a Death Rattle standpoint, and it's probably the spookiest looking card in the game as far as corny, spooky skeletons are concerned. So Sarad's a great drop. Would have loved to have him last turn, in fact. It looks like he may not have even... He's probably setting up either... Oh, god damn. I couldn't hardly do that. He's probably setting up a Blizzard or a Flame Strike turn. But I don't mind. This is going to die, it looks like, to like Flame Strike ping. But if he does end up Blizzarding, there's a chance it lives. And I just want to get the spell value out of it, right? Like, I just want to play a minion and get some value. That's probably not good. But who knows? We'll see. It's removal. And we're a late game deck, so... I don't think he's ever going to swarm the board, though, right? So there's a chance this never gets value. I think he's going to play like Ronin, Antonidas, one-off type cards like that instead. Here is the Flame Strike coming, maybe? No. What on earth is about to happen? He cannot let this live another turn. There's just no way. He has to kill this card, and he wants to kill this one. There's the Blizzard, okay. But see, I don't even mind that, because first off, I got my Death Rattle activated. Secondly, I've still got Sarad up for another draw. But I have to be careful. I think I'm going to overdraw if I'm not... yeah, I have 9 cards in hand. So I life tap and go to 10, and then the Sarad card gets burned. So I actually need to burn a card here. And it can't be Mortal Coil. So what do we burn? Can't be Siphon Soul. I guess we'll just play the Tauren. And see what happens. Shadow Flame and Curse of Rapham. Sure. Curse of Rapham actually works out pretty well. Why not? It's a counterspell test. It's a... oh, what? That's not very good. I admittedly didn't check for that, I guess, but that's the only minion that could attack. Why would he do that? I guess he forgot about the Death Rattle effect on the freeze. I don't mind that at all. Thank you. And we have 9 cards in hand still, so we're gonna draw the right amount. It'd be pretty nice. We got him to burn the curse. That's a free one though, because I needed to burn a card. I was gonna have to like throw down Blood Mage or do something inefficient, like Mortal Coil my own minion, perhaps. So I don't mind that he got rid of it right away. Who cares? It was a freebie. The thing I'm a little worried about now is actually health, I guess. That's not a very good minion. It's we can just Siphon Soul it, but we probably won't. I don't know. I'll probably like Blood Mage, Shadow Bolt, Mortal Coil it instead. Shadow Flame looks a little better maybe. But yeah, I still think the Blood Mage route is fine. Actually, enter the Coliseum. Is that gonna? No, that won't leave me with enough mana for the Shadow Bolt. And the problem here, of course, is that I don't have a good way to kill the Drake if I do this. I guess I can make the trade and so I can go here, Mortal Coil. That leaves me with a 5 mana Shadow Bolt is the problem, or a 5 damage Shadow Bolt. So it doesn't deal with this. Well, almost wish it said Taunt. I could just Black Knight it and be done with it. Maybe I don't kill it anything. Maybe I go offensively here. No, not yet. Not yet. So I guess we'll leave the Mana Worm up for now and sort this out like this. We might get a second Mortal Coil or something to deal with this. I don't know. I could also Shadow Flame it. Shadow Flame the Tauren. Is that crazy, guys? Or not? That's probably crazy. But I'm just thinking I have entered the Coliseum as removal. And I want Death Rattle stuff anyway, just in case I draw my N'Zoth. I want to have as many taunts as possible. I wasn't sure how that was going to die, and I'm just kind of scared about damage and minions, so like, why not clear the board when I had an opportunity to? It was maybe a little bit of a sort of an instant quick decision, but I don't actually feel too bad about it. This guy's sort of annoying, right? Second Shadow Flame, so not punished. Deathwing Dragonlord doesn't help me at all. I don't have any dragons in hand. I don't have a great way to deal with this guy. I could double Abomination. That takes me down pretty far. I can Siphon Soul, but it's a 2/3. Like, ugh. I think this is Counterspell, so I don't really want to Siphon Soul either, so that's risky. I could Life Tap, but that puts me in a pretty tough spot. I think I'm just going to Archthief or Fom. This is really punished by Mirror Entity, though. I can't imagine that's an actual thing he has, so I don't really... Not worried about that. So typically here, Mirror of Doom is the play, right? You want to have a reload, but it's so bad against Mage, Flame Psych, and he has a lot of freeze effects. So I actually think it might be Timepiece of Horror. Lantern of Power could also work if I ever get a minion to stick, which is possible with N'Zoth in particular. Like if I play a N'Zoth board and I have a lot of Death Rattle stuff. So I'm a little torn between these two. I guess we'll take Timepiece of Horror just because it's a little less risky and more guaranteed to have some sort of value. I don't think we're dead yet, but I just worry about damage constantly. He's used a lot, but he has potentially Fireball and some other stuff, so who knows where our health is actually at. Siphon Soul could help, but I just need to burn this Counterspell. This is clearly not Mirror Entity. It could be Ice Block, right, but there's always that chance it's Counterspell, so until I get a cheap spell... Oh, he's going to trade, it looks like. Maybe Frostbolt. But I don't mind, again, that is damage that is not going to my face, so I'm actually pretty chill about that. So here, what do? We can't actually cast Shadow Flame to test the secret here. So do we cast Enter the Coliseum? That just wastes it, though, if I do that. So maybe we just double a bomb. This is the double Abomination turn. And it really may not even clear this Faceless Summoner, depending on what answers he has, like if he Flame Strikes, for instance. But, well, God, if that happens, we're going to take 9 damage, so that's scary. I hope it doesn't. He only has 3 cards, so it's not really likely. He might think I'm baiting out the Flame Strike for the mummies, too, though. Like, everybody takes the mummies, so he's probably thinking, oh, I got to save this for the mummies. We didn't take the mummies, though. We could have cast this, by the way. There's a chance it cleared the board, but also a good chance it doesn't, just because there's already 7 health on the board. So he did that one correctly, but unless he has a direct damage spell for the second Abomination, it's not going to make a difference. Like he needs the Frostbolt or something to ensure that he doesn't have to trade. Firelands Portal will do it, though. Jeez Louise. It's a pretty good minion, too. Oh, I didn't know that interaction. That's interesting. So, okay. Gosh. I think that's Counterspell, guys. The question is, can I actually even risk it? I can play Cyclopean Horror and Shadow Flame. And this goes to 5 health, which means either minion can kill it. And if the Shadow Flame doesn't go off, it goes to 5 health. Either minion can kill it, I take 5 to the face. If Shadow Flame does go off, then he has an empty board and I'm happy. But if the Shadow Flame doesn't go off, we're going to be real close to dead. But we will be able to Siphon Soul a future turn, so let's just see what we get. Oh, it went off. Cool. I'll take it. So that's Ice Block, probably. Looks like. Which makes sense. It seems like he has a lot of stall elements. It's probably the... Oh, my gosh. But at least I know I can Siphon Soul. But this thing's just going to get real nasty real soon. I'd love... Ooh, do we just do this instead? We're going to have so many taunts. I guess we have to, right? This is the spooky skeleton deck. Let's go for so many spooky skeletons. This guy doesn't know what to do. I don't even think Flame Strike gets him through all this junk. Oh, but gosh, I risk actually taking 4 damage here. So, geez, those are going to clear the board. That was one of the things we mentioned as sort of a risk of the Abominations. Of course, we couldn't pass them up because they're just too cool, but it looks like my bloody... my bloody decapitated stump is falling off, so forgive me, guys. So I don't know. He's got some work to do to parse through this, right? Like, best Gold Apothecary ever. All right, that's right, technically, maybe. But actually, it's not, I don't think. He should have played this after, because he still would have healed 10. This would be a higher health minion, and he'd be at full health instead. Oh, he'd actually still be at 28, probably. So that was probably a little off sequencing-wise. But suddenly I feel a lot better about our position. Just because we can tidy up his board, have some minions alive, and heal up a little bit with Siphon Soul, too. Frost Nova makes that less... Well, I can still Siphon Soul and Cyclopean Horror, I guess. This is actually a very annoying 3-drop, because this taunt will just die, and then he'll be able to kill this with the 4-2 and wipe up the rest of my board, or most of it. The N'Zoth will technically still be alive. Do I maybe Siphon Soul this? And then Cyclopean Horror. Is that insane? It kills 2 of his minions, heals me up, takes this to 1. Or do I just enter the Coliseum? And then... No, that's bad. Skeleton Eye, Blind Eye. Timepiece of Horror is actually, I guess, maybe my best option here, right? Even if it doesn't kill everything, even if it takes this to like 1. Yeah, this was the best option for sure. So again, any kill on this is really annoying, but he only has 2 spells. He can ping face tank it for sure, we know, but is anything else bad going to happen? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. The Valet is pretty good. That saves him a ton of damage. I'm down to 5, so I may just be dead to whatever this is. We also have this... Oh, my word. Well, if it hits N'Zoth, we've got a shot, actually, but it's going to hit our face. Oh, boy! Oh, boy. So, yeah, Siphon Soul, but I can't actually kill this. So I know he has 4 damage showing. Oh, I don't have to. I can just Cyclopean Horror, right? We don't have to kill it. It's fine. Actually, this is pretty fine, to tell you the truth. A spell is obviously scary, especially if it's Pyroblast, but Fireball or anything, Frostbolt even, is scary just because it gets ATS value, which we don't want. I'm down to 1 card, so actually fatigue damage is a risk for me right now. What on earth is that nonsense? Good news is he can't kill this guy. Interesting trade. 1 card. It's actually a good one here, I think. But we might get counterspelled. But I guess if we're going to get counterspelled, this is what we want to get counterspelled, right? Nope. What is this going to be? Ice Barrier? Vaporize again. Okay, whatever. And we'll play the Skelly Knight. And he has 2 damage right now. We're going to take 1 from fatigue, so we got to win the game really fast. I don't know if we can. It's going to be really tough. Nefarian is definitely my best bet because it might give me something like Ice Block or who knows, right? Some sort of defensive measure. So let's try this. The problem, of course, is that Ice Block doesn't activate on fatigue. So we got to figure out a way to... No! No! Oh, the 1 fatigue damage. Gosh. No! The Headless Regis has failed you. I'm so sorry, guys. That was rough, but that's going to actually do it for me in this deck. Clearly, it's missing a little. Just too slow. If we were going to change this, you know, we'd cut some cards we don't really want, like Cyclopean Horror, probably even Infested Taurens, maybe a Sarad, definitely a Skeleton Knight and a Black Knight, Rafam, Deathwing Dragon Lord. I'd put in something like an Alexstrasza as another defensive measure in a Dragon Activator, right? And I would go for some faster legendaries too, like an Emperor maybe. And you could also go a Reno route on this deck. That'd be pretty tough to change at this point. That'd be so much new things. And I would go like Twilight Drakes and Defender of Arguses. Where are those at? And drop the Possessed Villagers. And I might keep Thanos maybe. Drop the Abominations. So you basically turn it into like a N'Zoth Dragon deck is really what this deck would turn into if I was going to drop the Halloween theme. So hopefully that helps you see what this might look like if it was a more true or real deck. But still, I'm really happy to get a chance to play a kind of goofy, fun Halloween deck and be this close to winning some games and being right there as far as a good deck is concerned. So hopefully you also enjoyed this Decksperiment of the spooky Halloween Warlock. Let me know what you think. I know this is a little goofy, but I thought it might just be a fun little diversion and a neat little exercise too. So feel free to tell me how crazy I am, how stupid and how goofy this is. I certainly won't mind, but I do appreciate you staying around this far to watch it. So feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.